さて、それではお時間となりましたので、
Thank you
これよ
for
り
waiting. It is the time to start the session Future of Blockchain and Changing Society.
はじめにパネリストの皆様ご紹介させていただきます。
Introduction of
まず
the
はデイモトリッ
panelists
プル国際事業部門
from
シニアディレクター吉川恵美様です。
Ripple's
オンラインで
the
ご参
Global
加いただきます。
Operations in QSA Senior Director Miss Emi Yoshikawa. From Cross ID CEO Mr. Hikaru Kusaka. Thank you, Kusaka-san, for joining us.
さて続きましてはナユタ代表取締
The
役
next panelist, CEO of Nayuta, Mr. Kenichi Kurimoto.
続いてオーストラリアシェアリング CEO
From Australia, founder and CEO of Sharing, Mr. Tim Boss. He is with us online. Last but not least, our moderator from Nikkei Shimbun, senior staff writer Takehiko Koyanagi.
さてそれではここからの進行は小柳さんにお願いします。
I will hand over the microphone to Mr. Koyanagi.
はい、皆様こんにちは。
Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. I am the senior staff writer of Nikkei Shimbun. My name is Koyanagi. There are more than 3,000 persons connected to listen to us, so we shall do our best
早速なんですけれども、
to be interesting.
ブロックチェーンの未来と変わる社会と
The
いうことで、
future of
テー
blockchain
マが
and
ですね、
changing
非常に
society.
大きい。
I mean,
まあ
it's almost a very grandiose, high-level discussion. The topic is so broad that we could talk about almost anything, but we would like to take multiple perspectives about what will happen with the blockchain and what would be the impact onto our daily lives. How will our lives, society change because of the spread of blockchain? First of all, each and every panelist are working in different organizations. So how blockchain is used, what exactly is done? May I invite our panelists for a brief introduction about what they are doing? First of all, Emi Yoshikawa of Ripple, brief introduction. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am the Senior Director of Ripple Global Operations in the USA. My name is Emi Yoshikawa. I am in San Francisco, USA. I have some slides to introduce my company. In 2012, this was founded in 2012. Ever since the foundation, to realize the Internet of Value has been our aim. What this means is, as of today, by Internet, information, data can move around the world freely. But in terms of monetary value, by using blockchain to realize more flexible free transaction is our vision. Having said that, this is a very lofty vision, and therefore the start point was the cross-border remittance of money. This is where there is a lot of friction or difficulty. In the last 30 years, the remittance amount has increased by 13 times, by 13 times. Despite that, there are many challenges. For example, 3 to 5 days waiting for the settlement or the fee. The charge, it could be as expensive as 10% of the total amount of remittance, lack of transparency, lots of challenges. So using blockchain technology, Ripple is trying to eliminate these difficulties. Specifically, there is RippleNet, the decentralized network offered to financial institutions, and the XRP is used as the bridge currency. By using this, the liquidity cost of cross-border remittance is significantly reduced. We have 10 business locations across the world, including SBI Holding SBI Ripple, which is our joint venture with the SoftBank Group here in Japan. A bit more information about our Ripple net. As is on the slide, for example, from the US on the left to send money to the Philippines on the right, there is the sending and the receiving financial institutions, and there will be a direct connection through the Ripple API. Interactive remittance messaging is available, and therefore real-time settlement is possible. In terms of options, XRP on-demand liquidity is provided by the use of XRP, the crypto asset. Out of different assets, why XRP has been chosen? This asset exists natively on XRP Ledger, an autonomous crypto asset for remittances or settlement. It is most suitable. First of all, it's very quick and speedy. The processing, only 3 seconds or so per transaction is required, and the network transaction fee, very cheap, plus very scalable. Like 1,500 transactions per second is the processing capacity. In addition, XRP does not use Bitcoin mining. There is the unique consensus algorithm, and therefore there is very little energy consumption required for transaction verification. In terms of SDGs, sustainability, it is very important that power consumption is small. By using XRP, cross-border remittance is largely improved by Ripple, and this is the very remittance technology suitable for the era of the internet. During the panel, I would like to talk about how the world of value might change. Thank you. That was my introduction. Thank you, Ms. Yoshikawa. And next, Cross ID, Mr. Kusaka, can you tell us about your activity, please?
Certainly. So, I am Kusaka from Cross ID. Sorry, my former company name also came up. I would like to introduce myself and the company. So, we provide a Cross ID app, same name as the company's name. And this digital ID is linked to the My Number card, which is the social security and tax number system in Japan. And this is the only one in Japan at the moment to provide this service. So myself, I am based in Estonia since 2017, and due to COVID, I have returned back to Japan. But in Estonia, they have a digital ID system which is used by 99% of the population. And so I have served as the e-residency advisor to the Estonian government. And also I am serving to connect this digital ID between the private sector and the public sector. So I would like to briefly touch upon what we provide at Cross ID. So in order to make the My Number card, the social security and tax number system smarter, is our aim. So you can simply download the service to use our service. As of 12th of August in Kaga City, Ishikawa Prefecture, we started to use the digital ID to make an online application to government. So without going to the public governmental buildings, you can obtain the necessary documents. So for example, biometric login or electronic signature, we are able to replace the physical IDs or physical stamps and seals that has been required in the past. And you can file for an application to the government, or you can sign electronic contracts or conduct transactions with the online banks. using our service easily.
簡単になったんですけども、弊社のミッションという
So
のは
this was a very brief introduction of our company's mission. We would like to create a digital society with low credit cost. So financial world, we say credit cost we talk about, but rather what I'm trying to say is that not really credit, but rather the cost of trusting one another. Rather, because when the cost of trust is so high, then all the merits that we can gain from these new technologies are wiped out. Therefore, we would like to lower the cost for trust and realize a good digital society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kurimoto Nayuta.
This is Kurimoto from Nayuta. Thank you very much. Let me show the screen. So Nayuta was founded in 2015, based in Fukuoka City. For the first 2.5 years, we didn't receive outside investment, and we did many things. We, for example, received IoT projects from large companies separate from blockchain. Also, we collaborated various large companies and lending and so on. But we also developed in-house the Bitcoin technology. And in 2017, we first received the funding from external entity. And now some of the major external shareholders are JAFCO and B-Dash Ventures, as well as retail investors. And Bitcoin second layer, or the so-called Lightning Network, has been our focus for the past few years. We are expanding the Lightning Network-related business. And recently, we are also going into another direction, enterprise blockchain. So we continue to work on Lightning Network, but we are also expanding in enterprise blockchain. The reason is that when we observe the world, various blockchain will probably coexist in the future. Also, the Lightning Network has a very R&D type of style, but it is now reaching the commercialization level. So I think we believe that in addition to Lightning Network, we should also engage in enterprise blockchain to enjoy the synergy. So this is an introduction of the Lightning Network. It's a second layer of the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a decentralized system, and the Bitcoin transactions can be conducted decentrally. But there are challenges, or perhaps the specification. It's about 7 transactions per second, and the mining time is necessary, so it takes time to confirm. And so these are some of the challenges. But the Lightning Network can raise the TPS and achieve real-time transaction with low fees. So with regards to our Lightning Network, we started from the protocol development and infrastructure technology. We are now entering the middle layer and application closer to the business side. We are shifting our target, and we have launched several apps. And I think by the end of this week, we should shift to public beta. We call it the Nayuta Core. Currently, it's a closed beta. So on this app, you can join the Lightning Network, and also you can connect to other apps. It can enjoy a special position. Zap, Zeus, these are globally famous wallet teams, and this will allow coordination with such outside services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kurimoto, and thank you very much for waiting. From Sharing Australia, founder and CEO, Mr. Tim Boss. The floor is yours by way of introducing yourself and brief introduction of the activity. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, konnichiwa. I'm Tim Boss. I'm from the CEO of Sharing, based out of Malta. We've got offices in Vietnam, Thailand, Hong Kong, Australia, and the UK at the moment. So I'm just going to share some slides to explain a little bit more about ourselves. Okay, so Sharing, we were established ourselves about 3 years ago out of Malta, and we did our first fundraising then. So the company was developed around the idea of basically providing a platform and services based on blockchain for the sharing economy, circular economy, the travel industry, and also the mobility and car sharing industry. So the technologies we've been focusing on developing in that area on our own blockchain network, Sharing ID, which is a self-sovereign identity platform. Basically what that means is once you sign up for our Sharing ID, you have a portable ID that's verified with the blockchain that you can take with you anywhere and then use to sign up for other online services. For example, we have a product where you can go to a car sharing car, scan the QR code on the car, it would send your ID to that company temporarily, just the ID that needs to be sent. Car doors will unlock on the car and then off you go. We're using that platform also for electronic visa on arrival in one country and talking to a number of other countries and a number of other products that it's being used in. Sharing Pay, which is our payment system. So basically the payment system allows for no foreign exchange fees and very quick payments between the customers and other customers or the customers and merchants. So it's basically our blockchain-based payment. So you could pay in, for example, Australian dollars when you go to Japan, and the merchant will receive Japanese yen, and then we don't have any very large currency exchange fee in between, and it's also instant. Everything is obviously developed on our blockchain ecosystem, and we're also developing a reward platform, which is our blockchain token for rewards. We've got a number of other protocols that we develop on top of it, but they're all underpinned by those main technologies. So the products that we're in the process of releasing now are our hotel and flight bookings. So we call this Travel version 3. So we were actually due to launch it at the start of March this year, but obviously due to COVID, we delayed the launch of that. One of the benefits of the hotel booking system is, as well as just paying in your local currency and paying with cryptocurrency, you can also do express check-in at many, many hotels. What that means is that using your Sharing ID, when you actually book the hotel, we will send your information, or your phone will send your information to the hotel before it's time to check in, and then do all of the pre-check-in tasks for that hotel. So then you can just walk into the hotel and go straight up to your room, and you don't have to worry about waiting in the queue. Same with flight bookings. It's a very similar process. We can send your passport information to the airline so that you can also do all the pre-checks for the flight, and then you can get your boarding pass very quickly. We're also featured in Forbes recently for our open world COVID-19 pass. So using our Sharing ID and that platform that we made for the electronic visa on arrival, we've developed a system to allow countries to help open their borders again for people that want to travel into them. So we've got a product that allows you to sort of upload your medical certificate to show that you've had a COVID test, and then also when you arrive in the country to be able to enter certain areas by scanning QR codes in those areas. One of the unique things about that, for travellers especially, is that we respect the privacy of the traveller. So we don't send your information to the government, we don't send it to the shops that you go into. All we do is basically help you get around places and show a green light to basically say that you can go there, whilst also respecting your privacy. We're also launching a local shopping e-commerce platform with some partners. We're testing that at the moment in Thailand, which is due to launch in a couple of weeks. What that does is it actually allows you to purchase products from shops within, say, 5 kilometres of where you live, and then have same-day delivery from those shops. So it's using our payment system, our reward token, and some other functions and features on our blockchain system. We're also working with some companies to provide activity bookings. So the ability to, for example, book maybe a cooking lesson when you go traveling, or any other types of lessons. One of the things that we use with that is our identity management system, Sharing ID. that allows us to do pre-checks on the people doing the activities, and then also the customers as well, to make sure that we provide a safe environment for both the customers and the travellers. We've got a huge number of partners, so we wouldn't be able to succeed in this in what we're doing without some very strong partners. Some of them are hotel booking places, so a lot of them we haven't actually announced yet. So that's why you see some locks over them. Keys car sharing, that was previously my company. I sold that at the start of this year to Wunder Mobility in Germany. We partner with a few universities in terms of R&D, research and development that we do with them. We're part of Mobi. I'm talking with, I need another session tomorrow about that, and a number of crypto companies and a number of other companies. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this panel.
ティムさんありがとうございます。ちょっとですね皆さん、パネリストの方に私の方から追
Thank
加
you,
で
Tim, for your presentation. From the moderator, I would like to start by asking questions. That is because the changing society, impact of blockchain on the society is a topic, and therefore how your services or technologies are utilized. Please allow me to start with a few questions. Ms. Yoshikawa. Ripple. Basically, it's interbank technology, according to my understanding. In how many countries, how many financial institutions utilize this service, and what financial institutions are participating in the operation of your technology? Indeed. Could I show my slide again? At the moment, RippleNet in 45 countries and 6 continents, more than 300 financial institutions are participating. RippleNet is a peer-to-peer platform-based, and XRP is the crypto asset utilized. It's an open public blockchain. RippleNet itself, in addition to technological layers, there's the standardization of operation rules. So technology plus operation, we work on both. The operation standardization part, there is RippleNet committee, which is the governing body. For cross-border remittance, the practice is very complicated. Multiple jurisdictions, multiple legislation, different time zones are all relevant. And when errors and problems occur, how to deal with the problems, under what governing rules, the parties need to agree prior to the transactions. Traditionally, respective financial institutions had to agree bilaterally, but it was time-consuming for connection. These were some of the hurdles. Under RippleNet, there is a common operation rule determined by this governance body. So, as I mentioned, more than 300 financial institutions are participating, and the regional council elect the representative, and the RippleNet committee decide the rulebook and the governance policies, and members are agreeing. One comment is, in blockchain-related projects, sometimes technological verification or technology-oriented projects might be dominant, but the function as a network, the operation aspect, eliminating friction and standardization, the non-technology part is important. That would be the key. The non-technology could be the key. So in order to establish such robust operations, people with expertise is required in the international remittance area. Those people who are well-versed in practice or governance at SWIFT, or those in government or other international organizations who have experience of standardization in the past. Such a person will be important. At Ripple, at the time of foundation, from the Silicon Valley, there were high-tech geeks. The focus was on technology, but since then, the more financial institutions joined us, the non-technology, the operation, the rulemaking, governance has becoming more dominant, and so we are focusing equally on both. Thank you, Ms. Yoshikawa. The slide that we are seeing, the financial institutions, there are institutions not using the traditional SWIFT. So international remittance is possible without using SWIFT. Many of the banks indeed, of course, do have the SWIFT-based technology, but on top of that, they use the Ripple network as well, or they are shifting their weight from the traditional SWIFT to the Ripple net. But the new fintech startups or the new payment service providers, they start without depending on SWIFT at all, and they start by using Ripple net. It depends on the type of clients. What about the Japanese banks? Because I cannot see any Japanese bank. SBI, it's not exactly a bank, although it may have a Japanese DNA. What about Japanese banks? In Japan, unlike other countries, Japan has a unique situation. The Ripple technology, we are trying to use it for domestic in Japan remittance. Moneytech is a new entity. Originally, back in 2016, there was the bank consortium for domestic and international remittance. Inside Japan, there is Zengin Net, but it's very expensive in terms of cost. And the Fair Trade Commission has pointed this problem out. But Ripple technology, if we can use this for domestic money transfer and with the same platform, if cross-border money transfer is possible, so this MoneyTap initiative has started, and this MoneyTap, there are more than 30 financial institutions that have contributed capital, and 3 already have started commercial application. Thank you. So you have sort of just started in that endeavor. You are right. Yes, for commercial application, you have started. Thank you very much. And then Mr. Kusaka, may I ask a question? Cross ID. You mentioned about the city of Kaga. It is already socially deployed in Kaga. This is a city on the Japan seaside of the Japanese archipelago. How do the residents use this?
So we just started 12th of August, so it's just been a short while. So not everybody in Kaga is using this yet. But last year in December, we signed the agreement with Kaga City, Ishikawa Prefecture, to digital 100% administrative service, providing administrative service online. And one of the initiatives was using the digital ID for the ID verification within the Japanese public key infrastructure. So just in 8 months, people who needed to go to counters in the past don't need to do so. Or if they have a smartphone and the My Number card and our app. So if you download our app and if you read the My Number card information once, then there is no need to reread the information into the app. So in the past, you needed to bring your seal, you needed to go to the counter, and then you need to fill out forms. If you wanted 8 documents, then you need to fill out 8 documents in the past. And now still the application is limited because the national law and the municipal laws need to be updated and aligned. But this will be enabled from the end of this month. And so some of the data that you need first, for example, will have to go to the convenience store to obtain, will be you will be able to receive it at your home. And for the special aid, the benefits for the COVID situation, 100,000 yen was paid out to all the citizens, but this will also be made easier using our app.
About the 100,000 yen that all the household can accept for the virus compensation, so the residents can just use online.
That is correct. So the special benefit payout. Some municipalities used different ways. So having an interface that is not the physical counter, I think is going to be useful going forward.
The relationship with the blockchain, my impression is whether blockchain is really required, but why blockchain is essential for your service?
So the Cross ID app itself uses blockchain technology. It's not a core technology, but using Cross ID, I said that this can be the key and the seal and the signature. So who opened with the key? Who placed the seal? So in order to really verify that the person in question is the person making the application. For example, if my wife updates the information, then based on the previous KYC, actually it is possible, but in strict terms, then it needs to be verified that I have assigned my wife to do that for me on my behalf. So going forward, when logging into the service, the login information will be hashed and it will be recorded on the blockchain. So these footprints that cannot be falsified or tampered will remain in the blockchain side. So it is not that the personal information will remain with the blockchain, but there will be trails that cannot be tampered thereafter, so that you can see that there was the verification, there was the signature from the person in question, and that can be confirmed later on.
So that's to ensure trust and confidence. A blockchain is useful to ensure trust, exactly.
That is correct, and Estonia is also using the same system. So government officials, private people can access with the digital ID. So who accessed what is available as a log. So for example, if the police accesses, then the police officer uses the digital ID. So that log remains. So for example, John, a police officer, confirmed my address at what time. That log is always available for the individual. And if you are dissatisfied, then you can also file a complaint based on that log. So it's very fair.
Thank you for that. May I ask Mr. Kurimoto? So what is under development, the middle layer? By using the middle layer, there will be more applications offered to corporate clients, and the blockchain second layer can be further utilized so that the processing speed will be even faster to advance the projects. Am I correct?
That is correct. The Lightning Network is, for example, if you want to pay 10 yen by Bitcoin to someone on the other side of the globe, that's possible. But currently, you can only do this on DeEC. It's difficult to explain, but liquidity, you also need to secure the path for the remittance. And users, without thinking, it's not easy. It's not something that you can do easily. It has become easier, but companies worldwide are trying to make this easier. And when we talk about the second layer, it's not just Bitcoin, but also Ethereum as well. Well, we are involved in the protocol development for Bitcoin, and on the enterprise side, we are working on enterprise Ethereum. So not the second layer for the public Ethereum.
And the enterprises, the technology of Nayuta, and using that, what the companies want to do? What companies? Your clients, should I say? Your customers?
I can't disclose information about the enterprise side. But basically, the companies request us because they recognize our implementation power with regards to Bitcoins. And enterprise are now thinking not just POC but actually commercialization, and so they are requesting our support because they know that we are able to implement.
Thinking about the longer term future, the enterprises using Nayuta platform, what are the future possibilities?
So what we are thinking is the Lightning Network, TCP/IP on top of TCP/IP, a new base like a TCP/IP. That's how we view the Lightning Network. So even if there are different types of blockchains, we can utilize this to link the different blockchains. That has been our views, but it's still unclear, and we're still doing a lot of research on this. So I'm sure that you can't state specific names, but what is your dream? In terms of the enterprise side? Well, I'm very sorry. I'm not really at liberty to disclose, but there's still a lot of vagueness and nothing that I can really state strongly. But it's more about the exchange of values. There are many ways to utilize blockchain like contracts, but contracting, exchanging values, is that the main purpose? For example, a very, very small amount micropayment without any intermediary or without depending on any organization. That is, in essence, perhaps revolution is too big of a word, but it could be used for almost everything. If such a micropayment is possible, then that's how we see the entire picture.
Thank you. My question to Tim.
シェアリングのサービス、
So
トラベル
sharing your services in the travel-related area, including car sharing, that I understand is the most widely used in the commercial area. Am I correct in my understanding?
Yes, so car sharing was one of the first, products that we released on our blockchain platform.
ちなみにこのカーシェアリングはですね、何カ国で、
This car sharing in how many countries?
どれぐらいの量を使われて
What is the number of transactions or how many cars used? Any statistics?
Yeah, so for car sharing, we partnered with our sister company Keys, which we sold in March this year. So we were generating about 60,000 bookings per month on the platform across about 300 locations, and that was in about 6 countries. Yep.
その6カ国のお客さんは、要するに例えば
So the customers in the 6 countries, in those multiple countries, Grab, Uber, they don't use such services, but directly cars can be provided to the users. So am I correct?
Yes, so the focus is mostly on either consumer car sharing where people want to borrow a car for a few hours, or also sometimes corporate car sharing. So it might be a company that owns a lot of vehicles and they let their staff use those vehicles. So they use our sharing ID, our digital ID solution, to very quickly gain access to those vehicles through the car sharing or mobility platform.
わかりました。ホテルの方はどれぐらいの数のホテルがですね、
Thank you very much. Any statistics about the hotels? How many hotels on the platform?
Yes, so we have about 1.6 million hotels on the platform. So those hotels are a mixture of short stay apartments. So we partner with VRBO, which is, the number 2 to Airbnb. And then we also partner with some of the larger hotel chains to provide access to those. of those 1.6 million, about 20% of them will support the express check-in functionality. The rest of them will support things like payment in different cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, and then also payment and easy funds transfer in other foreign exchange or foreign currencies.
わかりました。ですね、そうこうするうち
Thank
に
you
すで
very
に制
much.
限時間
In
が
fact,
やってまいりました。
already we have gone beyond the allocated time. That's due to my lack of moderatorship.
かなり遠い将来を
But
見据えてですね、このブロックチェ
we
ーン
will
が
take
どういうふう
a
に世の
longer
中変え
term
るかと
perspective.
いうことにつ
How
いて、
blockchain will
パネリストの
change
それぞれに
our
ビジョンを
world,
語ってもらいたいと
society. If each of the panelists can tell us your vision briefly, starting with Miss
価値の部分にな
Yoshikawa,
ると思うんですけども、
you focus on the
10年後
value. For example, in 10
我々
years,
のこの金銭
because
に
of
関わる
blockchain,
生活がどう変わってい
how
くか
would our lives be changed in terms of money handling or payment? What kind of applications might we be using in 10 years? The concept of money, I think the concept will widen, expand. Today, the money is a transaction between person. You buy a good, buy a service, save money, very limited definition. Going forward, IoT, robotics become so wise. Robotics today, the manual work might be automated, but robotics will become so wise based on a specific logic. As an economic actor, a robot might be a participant in the economy. In such a future, we save money and we might use the money. Bank accounts were targeting person, but wallet or transactions would target the goods of the object rather than the account holder human being. As a use case, driverless driving is attracting attention. Going forward, the performance will rise. There will be more cars without drivers if it is a congested highway, for example, and one is a driverless car, and one car might be in a huge hurry to the destination. So no matter what, one car is in a hurry, there will be another car not in a hurry, and they are prepared to accept money and let the car in the hurry go first. So based on logics, there will be economic transaction, and the car in a hurry will be given privileged access to the car lane, or car parking spaces can be transacted between cars on the street. So in such a use case, bank-based infrastructure will be replaced, internet native payment and settlement technology will become critical. So indeed, it is the Internet of Value infrastructure. In the 1990s, Internet infrastructure building was promoted under the Clinton administration. Information superhighway was the word utilized, and indeed it should be a superhighway of values going forward. At Ripple, from about 5 years ago, the concept of a new concept has been introduced, different remittance, a network between different ledgers, communication and payment settlement is possible, which means interoperability. A protocol is studied and utilized in the Ripple net, and such network should increase. Currently, cross-border remitters or B2B financial institution to financial institution transaction, it is limited, but the transaction will be between the object or between human being and the object going forward.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
草加さんにやはり10年後
Mr. Kusaka, your vision 10 years from now, digital ID and administrative procedures, digitalization, how would it advance based on your experience, please?
Certainly. So talking about
やっぱ
Japan,
り今このコロナの状況の中でいろんな政府の施策
now
で
under the
もやっぱ
COVID
批判的なものが多い
environment,
っていうの
when we
は
look at the
透明
various
性だと思
public
うんですよね。
policies,
どういった政策
they
が
are
施行さ
heavily
れているのかが見えな
criticized
かった
due
り
to lack of transparency.
マスク
So the
に関して
policy
も
making
そうです
process
け
is
ど
unclear.
でも
Even the
その裏に
distribution
は
of masks,
頭のいい
it
人
has
たち
been
がいろんな
heavily
ことを考えてやって
criticized.
る結果
But
なん
of
ですけど
course, many smart
ただ
people
透
have
明
given
性
this
が
a
ない
lot
こ
of
とに対して
thought
は
and
結構
created
文
these
句を言います
policies.
ただ
But
透
due to
明
lack
性
of
確保してい
transparency,
るつも
it
り
is
でも
drawing a lot of
できない
fire.
だったりこっちが出してる
And
情報
even
が全
when
部で信用され
government
なかったり
thinks
する
that
可能
there
性が
is
あ
a
るんですよね。
transparency, perhaps
で
there
エ
ス
スト
lack
ニ
of
アを見ると
transparency,
やっぱり旧ソ連
or there is a lack of
旧
trust.
独立して
And
もう
in
監
terms
視
of
社会から
Estonia,
そういう
it
脱却してるの
became
かっていうのを
independent
ど
from
う
the former
安
Soviet
全的に
Union.
証明するのかっていうところ
It
で当
needed
然
to
そ
really
のい
prove
ろん
to the
な
public
法
that
律
it
作ったり
has
とかしてたんですけど
become a
テ
democracy.
クノロジーで
So
透明性を担保したり
various laws had
それ
been
関係ある透明性
implemented
って僕はあると思うん
in
です
order
け
to
ど
ensure
それを
that,
もっとして
so
あげる
to
日本
show
はした
that
時
there
に
is
もう
fair
一部だけだと思うん
transparency
ですけど
and there is a
勝手に相互
mutual
監視でできる
monitoring.
けど
If there is a
国民の
monitoring
声
or
を尊重
supervision
する
from
っていう
just
こと
one
としても
side, then there is
で
a
きないの
criticism.
で
But if it is
でじゃあ現
by
地にそのブロックチェーンの話
both
するとどういった
directions, then there is
ことになるんです
less
か本
resistance.
当にもうインビジブルになってるというかインフラになってる
And
の
it
で
is
10年
more
後
of
も
a
しこういうブロックチェーンの
invisible
カンファレ
or
ンス的なのがあるとした
infrastructure
ら多分それ
these
は社
days.
会的に
So
浸透し
if
ない
there
の
is
で
a
このイベントが
blockchain
10年後なくなってると思うんですよ
forum like this 10 years down the
で
road,
それ
then
だ
it
け
means
で
that it has not really
そうい
penetrated the
った
society.
意味で
So I'm sure that there will be new technology for which we need forums,
透明性をどう
but
担保する
not
かって
just
いう
blockchain,
技術的
but
なことを
transparency, I believe, is
の
a
が
very
やっぱり日本
important
ができる
technical
ことだったり
aspect.
とか
And
日本
Japan,
の政府
in
の方針
promoting
っていう
digital
のもす
government,
ごく重要で
in like
そこが重
Estonia,
視
is something that we
な
need
部
to
分だ
really
と思うの
place
でデジタル
importance on.
ID
It
法
has
も
been
日本
ignored
は
in the
大きな
past.
ツールとし
So
て
digital
まあ
ID is one
実際
tool
もうすでに
to
23万人が登録して
guarantee
いるとか
transparency.
普及率低いと言わ
And
れてますけど
already
そういうことじゃないんです
23 million
エストニア99%
people
3
have
万人
this.
人口なので
Estonia is 99%, but the population is much smaller. So already Japan has 10 times the number of
アイ
users.
デンティティって
So 23 million people already have this ID, which means that it's a very large ID system to already the My Number Card system.
加工貿易ではなくて
So
スマートシティの
once
スーパーシティ
we
とか
have
デジタル ID を巻き込ん
the
だ
system in place,
そういった
smart city or super city using digital ID, that kind of a creation of a society may be possible. And Japan, facing this very severe aging society, may be able to export a new society model based on this system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kurimoto. Your vision after 10 years, enterprise discussion or infrastructure?
Blockchain has many characteristics, and many people, different people focus on different aspects of blockchain and implement the various characteristics. But what we think is that it's a decentralized system. That, I think, is the most important aspect. And the biggest innovation of blockchain, I believe, is the public blockchain. This is our belief. But in order to reach there, there are many paths, and nobody knows what the right path is, where we can commercialize, and of course, the regulatory aspects that need to be taken into consideration. So at what timing, what happens, we don't know, but this is the worldview that we believe in. And ultimately, exchange of values, rather than being controlled by one party, small companies, individuals will be able to transact directly, and these small players or individuals to be empowered. That should be the direction for the innovation.
I have one more question. So the government or those with the authority, so when the world goes distributed and autonomous, they would be fearful about such transformation. Are you optimistic? Pessimistic?
I think that's 50-50. I conversed with many different people, and people who reject this outright are actually rare, and people are at least able to have a dialogue about this. And I can talk for hours on this topic, but
やっぱり既存の社会っていうのはいろいろなものが
The existing society
明らかに
has various
でそうただ
interests, and so if we go into this direction, many people may not be happy. But still, as a concept, not everybody reject this. So I think first we should be able to discuss without setting any taboos or without anything being off limits, because we need everybody to be committed to discuss.
Thank you. And finally, Tim, thank you for waiting. So the sharing activities. So directly to the consumers, blockchain application is offered. I understand that is the characteristic. 10 years in the future, what different services might be provided to the consumers, your vision?
Yeah, so we have an interesting vision of the next 10 years where many services become easier to gain access to. For example, at the moment in places like Thailand, to apply for some types of insurance, you need to go into the branch. To claim on that insurance, you need to go into the branch. So using a digital ID and some other blockchain services and payment services, you could do all of that from home. So what blockchain allows us to do is create this trust where trust wasn't available previously. So what we're doing is we basically had a problem that needed a solution, and blockchain was the solution to that problem. And I think other areas that we're looking at, sort of around car sharing, around travel, like activities and things like that, electronic visa, insurance, banking, and those areas there, blockchain's really helping us solve those. And our goal is really to make these types of services easier to gain access to, more enjoyable, and then also cheaper, and then more profitable for the providers that are partnering with us as well.
ありがとうございます。実はもう15分
Thank
ぐらい
you
時間を
very much. We have gone overboard 15 minutes, so allow me to wrap up. Thank you very much for the introduction of your variety of activities and telling us your vision. One common factor is trust. I understand how to build trust, a confidence building trust build not only between human to human, organization versus individual, machine versus individual, machine to machine. Trust and confidence, there are different needs of trust between different partners and different entities, and this is enabled by blockchain technology, and numerous changes will occur and our lives will change. I might sound abstract, but I think we have shared this future vision. With this, we shall have to wrap up this session. I thank you all for your kind participation, and a big thank you to all my fellow panelists. I know you are very busy, but thank you very much. So please do send a big applause online.
Once again, please give a big round of applause to the panelists. With this, we would like to close the session.